What up guys, it's your boy Shanus, and in case some of you OGs might have noticed, this video is actually being filmed at the original spot that I filmed the very first, well technically the very first Veloster install video. This is a throwback because I've owned this 2016 Veloster R-Spec for quite some time, and like I mentioned in some of the previous videos, it's a great time for people to be jumping onto the platform, whether it's a first gen or second gen. There's a lot of new options coming out in the KDM community. So for those of you guys that are interested in the first generation Veloster, I'm going to redo 5 things I hate about the Veloster, and then of course, because this video is probably going to go on a little bit longer than typical, I'm going to do a follow-up video with 5 things I love. So let's get the negatives out of the way so we can focus on the positives, and we're going to jump straight into the first one, and that is the stock paint job. The first thing I absolutely hate about this car is the stock paint job, and while I can't make comments on the newer models, there's a specific reason why I dislike this so much. And unfortunately, I did pick mine up when it was a little bit darker. You know, the sunlight wasn't out, so I couldn't tell, and I don't know if you're going to be able to tell by this video. For those of you guys that really want me to go further into detail, there is a video where I actually told you about proper paint care and how important it is to kind of like detail your car. But I'm just going to show you real briefly, and forgive me, the car's a little dusty, but I don't know if you could tell, there's essentially kind of orange peel, so you see the reflection, but it's kind of imperfect. And I did get my passenger side fender repainted, and there's a night and day difference of how clear the reflection is here, and again, forgive me, there's dust, as opposed to just kind of the orange peel of the stock paint job. And you can definitely see it on like the rear quarter panel. So you see right there how cloudy it is, how fragmented the palm trees are reflecting. So yeah, that's just love or hate. I know the car was economical, very much affordable, but as opposed to reflection, like how much clearer the reflection of that building is in this front fender, that's my first really big dislike about the vehicle, because clearly it just doesn't look great. And I think that one of the defining factors of making a car sexy and beautiful is the fact that after you're done washing it, you want kind of as close to as possible that mirror reflection. And unfortunately for the first gen Velosters, that's not happening there. Some of you guys might have lucked out with later year models, but clearly this was an issue all the way up to the 2016 model year. The number 2 thing that I hate about the Veloster is the actual stock wheels and tires. So of course I can't show you the stock wheels, these are aftermarket, but if you watch one of my first videos, you'll see the design. And this is actually kind of funny because this particular model had a redesigned wheel, because my particular Veloster model, for those of you guys that don't know, the Veloster in 2016 went through a refresh where they updated the wheels, updated the center gauges, and just a few other tidbits. So I am on aftermarket wheels, but these indeed are the stock Kumo tires, and I will tell you, they are the Solus type, and they are garbage, guys. If you guys want to do any kind of spirited driving, these tires do not provide confidence whatsoever. Unfortunately, it just makes it feel like the tires don't quite grip the way you'd expect them. Again, I'm pretty sure that's kind of like not a major thing for a lot of you guys, but specifically, at least with this being the R-Spec, so this was just supposed to be like the bare bones performance enthusiast model. At the very least, somewhere along the higher trims, or maybe even this model, I would have at least expected some better rubber, but I digress. Of course, this is an easy fix. You guys can buy better tires, but I did just want to point out that if you guys are buying a low mileage Veloster used, and of course on stock wheels, expect the tires to not be great, no matter how much tread-life there's left on them. So the third thing I hate about the Veloster, and forgive the audio because I have to focus on the gauge cluster, is actually this center screen on the revamped version of the Veloster. So again, this was the refresh. So if you guys buy a Veloster that's 2015 or lower, you're actually going to get the traditional kind of Hyundai Blue gauges with a digital temperature gauge and a digital fuel gauge in the center, and just kind of your overall miles. But this one was kind of like an imitation of the Volkswagen GTIs. So it's very stylish, but this center console, besides the fact that it just lacks any kind of relevant information that you might want, or even any kind of fanciness like colors or animations, it's really pointless. Just, I mean, from my point of view, because at the very least, it would have been nice to have a digital speedometer, but the stock or the basic option that you have is just your range. That's pretty much it. So you have this little gauge that just tells you how aggressively you're driving. Of course, I'm parked, so it's not moving, but essentially there's really no other options here. I'm gonna actually go through them. So you have your trip A, your trip B, your service, and that's about it. Just settings where you can actually go in and start tinkering around with things. There's really nothing important in there. Like I said, it's just menus, so you can scroll through them and just kind of, you know, what have you. But yeah, like just to me, it's very pointless. So it would have been, like I mentioned, it would have been at the very least nice to have had a digital speedometer in there or something. Again, this is just me being nitpicky, but yeah, it just seems like not a lot of effort was made. They're just like, hey, just throw something in there for the sake of it. So we're back outside of the car. This is for the fourth thing I hate about the Veloster, and this I think is probably the second most major thing that I dislike about this, and the largest missed opportunity, and that is the fact that this car does not use independent rear suspension. As you can see, there is my lowering spring, but this is actually a torsion beam system. It is not a multi-link or any form of independent rear suspension. So for those of you guys that are used to cheaper cars, that means that if you're doing any kind of enthusiastic driving and you happen to hit a pothole with your rear tire, let's say that you happen to hit it on the rear passenger side, then your driver's side is going to basically jerk along with it, and it's going to feel like your rear end is kind of sliding out from within you. Now, of course, this can be somewhat corrected with a rear sway bar, and of course some better and stickier tires. Nonetheless, it's still kind of that one thing that just really bothers me, because if you're, especially for me that like I live in California, there are horrible roads everywhere, and so hitting even the minor or smallest of potholes is going to give me that uneasy feeling of losing control in the rear, despite the fact that the car is a front-wheel drive car. So again, not a major loss, but for those of you guys that want to make this car into a fun and possibly track the car, which there are a lot of Veloster owners that do that, you just got to be mindful of knowing your limits and knowing that that's unfortunately going to be a normal feeling for the first gen Veloster platform. For those of you guys looking at the second gen, that is not a problem, because Hyundai, of course, fixed that issue. The second generation Veloster does come with independent rear suspension, and let me say, it feels amazingly better. It's just, of course, an overall step up. The last and biggest thing I hate about the Veloster, so the fifth item, we're looking at the hood, because it is not the engine, but it is the ECU tune. And that ECU is actually underneath the engine, right behind the battery itself. And if you haven't seen any of my previous videos, specifically my first 5 things I hate video, that is still the one thing I dislike the most, specifically on the 6-speed model. The dual clutch transmission model doesn't really feel as bad with their ECU tuning, but the 6-speed just feels horrible, because the traction control system on this car is insanely aggressive. This is actually probably one of the most difficult cars to drive stick shift from my point of view. And the only reason why I say that is if you've ever driven a Honda, like a Civic or an Accord, you'll know how smooth and easy it is to drive those cars. You know, the clutch feeling is just very buttery and smooth. However, with this, just rolling off of first can feel jerky, And it's not because you don't know how to drive stick. It's not because of the fact that you don't know how to ease in your clutch. It's because the system by default, for whatever reason, might sense that there's a little too much torque, and you just kind of have that initial jerk, and then the car kind of rolls off smoothly. I have driven some other Velosters, and this is the biggest disclaimer. I'm not sure if it's a hit or miss, because I've driven like a 2014 stick shift and a 2015 model, and some of them didn't have it as bad. Nonetheless, they all have it to some degree, and I'm pretty sure I've exacerbated the issue with the modifications, because of course it's added at least a decent amount of power over these stock numbers. So take that for what you will. That is my biggest gripe, and it is why companies do what's called a zero tune or a recalibration tune, which essentially means that they are not tuning the ECU for added power or anything like that. They are quite literally retuning and remapping the ECU for a better feel and better drivability. So quite literally, a product exists where you can get the Veloster retuned without any kind of bumps or power gains, just for the sake of having it drive the way it was intended to more than likely drive from the factory. All right, guys, that about sums up my 5 things I hate about the Veloster, specifically the first generation. However, there is a few honorable mentions that I'm going to go over, because I feel like you guys should know just a little bit more. Specifically because, like I mentioned earlier in the video, I've now owned this car close to 5 years. So I've personally been dealing with some of these things right from the start for quite some time. And then some new things have developed, of course, upon owning the vehicle as long as I've owned it. And I feel like, especially because of course you can't buy this new, a lot of you guys are going to be buying this pre-owned, some with low miles, some with higher miles. So I figured I should just kind of express a few other nuances that I've come to notice and happen upon just owning the vehicle for a longer period of time. So the first one, I'm not really going to go into it and pop the hood, but essentially just the amount of the effort that was placed into making this. So one thing, the biggest thing, is the stock blow-off valve. If you guys have seen it, and if you guys seen my initial video where I installed the Turbo XS blow-off valve, you'll notice that the OE blow-off valve is not only very flimsy, but it's also a rubber material. And I apologize, it's a bypass valve. But that is kind of the first indicator of the fact of where they had to cut corners to bring this model as affordable as it was, because the first gen R-Spec was priced MSRP around $21,000, and for a vehicle with a 1.6 turbo engine at 201 horsepower, that's a pretty great deal, brand new, and the 10-year warranty and whatnot. The second gen came very close to that number on their R-Spec model as well, so I do commend Hyundai for that. But I'm going to go ahead and continue on the inside, because that's actually where more or most of my quality of life complaints start when it comes to this vehicle. And again, this is me just being nitpicky. Please, I completely understand that this car was quite affordable for what it was, but there's just some things that I feel like could have been incorporated for not much money, if anything at all. First is the lack of lumbar support on the driver's seat. Now, like I said, this isn't a major thing, and I'm not expecting electric seats or anything like that, but I have had older vehicles where they basically had a lever style system similar to this somewhere on the arm bolstering, where you could basically adjust and push forward some sort of lumbar support for your lower back, specifically because once you get into this car, you do kind of sit deep in. So take that for what you will. That's kind of my first complaint. My last ones are actually all interior based, so let's go inside and have a seat. This next one is actually specifically to the R-Spec model and the Rally Edition, and that is, of course, like I mentioned before, these were supposed to be bare bone models. However, we did not receive the push to start button. Now, quite literally, I'm pretty sure a push to start is a little bit more money than just a key system, but considering that all the Veloster turbos, minus the R-Spec, had the push to start, and even some of the like higher end base models, the Navs, had push to start, I just don't see how much money you could have possibly saved by removing the push to start. Now again, this was rectified in the second generation where all models came with push to starts, no more key. But again, like I said, I can't fathom how much money they would have saved just by going from one system to the other, specifically because they would have had to have created this whole center console with this particular piece to avoid having the push to start. But while we're here, there's a few things that have actually started happening while I've been owning the car. Actually, you know what, before that, also the location of the traction control button. Now this might seem kind of silly, but my guess is that this whole center console is essentially the exact same one that is on Korean spec models, and rather than spend the extra money to make a mirrored button to go here and a mirrored passenger airbag to go here, they just left it as is. And like I said, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but for whatever reason, if a passenger is trying to adjust AC for you or something, I have had this quite a few times where the passenger accidentally, on their approach here, let's say you hit a bump or whatnot, they accidentally touch the traction control button, and suddenly you get a message here stating, hey, traction control has been disabled. Like I said, it's not a huge thing, but depending on your location or where you are when you're driving, having traction control disengaged might be kind of a big no-no. So, like I said, it's just a small little tidbit that I've noticed. And finally, my biggest annoyance is, so this media player is actually pretty awesome for the price and everything, but now that I've been having it for quite some time, the Bluetooth connection is actually having issues where I do get consistent Bluetooth connection, but it hiccups to the point where it sounds like you're skipping a CD, like you have a scratch CD, so you'll be playing music and then it'll just kind of like cut out and then come back in immediately, but slightly sped up because clearly the Bluetooth signal is trying to catch up to the point of where you are on the song. And it's just really annoying because you might be jamming out, you know, and then just suddenly, and then like back to music. And like I said, you would think that that's an issue of the past because, you know, we don't have CDs anymore. For those of you older in the audience that remember what it was like to have CDs and burn CDs and having to take care of those precious CDs to not get scratches to avoid that same symptom, I'm actually having that symptom with a Bluetooth connection. And I think that's wild because, like, why should I have that problem? But guys, that wraps up my complaints and the 5 things I hate, plus the honorable mentions. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys have other things that I probably didn't mention? For those of you that already own the Veloster and, you know, say there's something that you dislike about yours, or maybe you just have some quality control issues on your model that you would like other members to know about and, you know, other Veloster potential owners to know about. Please comment down below what you think, how you feel. Are you getting one of these? Do you love the Veloster? Do you hate it? Let me know. But as always, guys, I will see you in the next video with the 5 things I love about my Veloster Turbo R-Spec. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for all the love and support, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Yo, so after recording these videos, I actually came to the gas station to fill up, and look what a rare sight happened to pull up. It's a fellow rally edition. What's up, person, dude, ma'am? I like your car, the color, and your wheels. Veloster love.